The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
Hey, this is Arlene. You're back with me again on our DurianASEAN discussion today with US Ambassador Yoon. Early on, we discussed from A to Z on the TPP agreement. Now we are going to focus on the US pivot to Asia and also Southeast Asia. First stop, I want to ask about the global economy in Asia. China is not doing well right now. Its economic growth is slow. And not to also forget that the oil prices globally are plummeting. This has impacted a lot of the countries, including Malaysia, who are oil producing countries. How would ASEAN be able to fulfill US economic interests when ASEAN as well as Asia are not doing that well economically?
Well, I think that is precisely why we need agreements like TPP to stimulate growth. You're 100% right. Global economy right now looks a little bit weak, especially Chinese economy is slowing down significantly. I would say oil prices plummeting probably has relations with lack of Chinese demand for oil. And so there is a glut. And then, of course, the European economy has been in the doldrums for a while now. In fact, the only bright spot is probably the U.S. economy in terms of growth.
Stronger dollars nowadays.
And it has resulted in stronger dollar, you're right, because the rest of the world has been fairly weak. Now, this is the reality. This is the reality, and which is why we have been embarked on things like TPPA. We're also doing what's called TTIP.
What is that?
TTIP is the trade agreement, like TPP with Europe. And so we're doing that. And so we're doing many ways to try to stimulate global growth. What happens, of course, is everyone's guess. I would imagine this is for China, it's a cyclical thing. They've been growing so fast over the last 2 decades.
Now they are catching their breath.
They are catching up. And then for ASEAN is relatively strong. In comparison, we have not witnessed that much slowdown in Malaysia, even if oil prices are low. The government predicts, it will be reasonable growth this year. Similarly, in other parts of ASEAN, I don't think there has been a noticeable slowdown.
US is not in any of the ASEAN top trading partners. If you go to most of the countries in Southeast Asia, their top trading partners are either the EU, China, Korea, or Japan. So what would be the US strategy in ASEAN?
I would not agree with that assessment that we're not top trading partner. I mean, certainly China is a top trading partner. I don't have the figures in front of me, but in most countries, I would say we are among the top 4, if not top 3. So we are a significant trading partner. And of course, before China grew so rapidly, in many cases, we were number 1 trading partner for countries like Korea, Japan, Singapore, Thailand, Taiwan. So we have been a top trading partner. So I do expect that as US remains probably among if not the only country with significant growth, many Asian countries will be exporting more to United States.
We will be seeing more shift of exports from China and some ASEAN countries to the US.
I expect that, yes.
What is US strategy in this case?
US strategy in this case is, we are fundamentally believe on 2 things. One, more trade is good for everyone. We've always been welcome to trade. We try to provide as level a playing field as possible in terms of market access. Typically, we provide more access to developing countries. Tariffs are generally lower for developing countries. There is no real strategy to deal with this except to provide access and also to do things like TPPA and TTIP.
One of the areas that require greater access would be the small and medium businesses. In countries in Southeast Asia, you will see a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs, a lot of people who have businesses, but they are small enough to be able to move outside of their region or their country. So is there a way that US would be able to harness these businesses and be able for them to do their business globally?
Encouraging SMEs is clearly a big goal for US as well as all the other countries. After all, SMEs employ more people than big businesses, and their welfare is very important. I would say that one of the best ways to promote SMEs is through e-commerce. When smaller companies can latch on to e-commerce, then they have much cheaper way of exporting as well as getting their material. So as an example, TPPA has one chapter devoted to e-commerce, and I think that will be tremendously helpful.
It is interesting for you to highlight that. According to one of the latest news report about e-commerce, more and more Southeast Asians are actually buying their products and goods via online, and they don't really go to shopping malls.
So how to make e-commerce easier for SMEs? I mean, for typical SMEs, in many cases, they're not used to dealing with it. How do your transactions go through? More complicated it is, less they will be used. How do you treat them in terms of customs, in terms of duties paid? Do you have to fill out 10 pieces of different paperwork, or can you do it online? All these things are factors, and more we do to get rid of red tape, better it will be for SMEs.
Another question is about the US post-Obama. Presidential election will be happening this year. Post-Obama, will the US continue with its pivot to Asia?
Very much when US government launched the rebalance to Asia, paying more attention to focus to Asia, this was not a one-party thing. It was very much a bipartisan thing. Nobody disagreed. In fact, everyone was very supportive. According to one poll I've seen, the 98% of Washington thought that it was a great idea to pay more attention to Asia. So I have no doubt that this will continue. The second reason why it will continue is that the region wants US to have more of a presence. So it's not just US saying, let's go to Southeast Asia or Asia, but rather countries in the region
saying... They open their doors to the US.
Yeah, they are opening doors politically, diplomatically, and, through TPP, economically. So it's a two-way thing. The region wants more American presence, and certainly American government as well as American businesses want to have more of presence. So there's no question in my mind that this will continue.
So whoever that will be the future president of the US, what kind of challenges he or she would face in ASEAN in the coming next 5 years?
I think, as I mentioned previously, one really notable achievement of Obama administration is the recognition of the importance of ASEAN, and with it Southeast Asian countries, and so ASEAN, we have, for example, opened an embassy just to deal with ASEAN issues in Jakarta, U.S. mission to ASEAN. We now have an ambassador in U.S. mission to ASEAN. Of course, President comes to meetings every year to have to meet with leaders of ASEAN. So we have set up the institutional framework for this to continue. And I don't know whether you know, but in about 3 weeks' time, President Obama has invited 10 leaders of ASEAN to come to California, Sunnyland, where they'll meet over 2 days, have a really kind of, informal retreat session where they can talk in a relaxed atmosphere, probably no ties, about how they can plot, how they see U.S.-ASEAN relationship developing. So all those will go towards building blocks to whoever succeeds Obama, and so I'm very confident that our relations with ASEAN will strengthen even further.
So stronger ties in the next 5 years, you foresee. What about the future prospect of Malaysia-US relations?
Malaysia is, of course, the pivotal country within ASEAN. It is a founding member of ASEAN. It is also located right in middle of ASEAN, and it has been traditionally, both political, diplomatic, as well as economic pillar of ASEAN. So multilaterally, as we strengthen our relation with ASEAN, I have no doubt we'll also strengthen bilateral relations with ASEAN, and so we will continue all of our bilateral programs as well as multilateral programs.
So business as usual.
It will be business as usual, no reason to change a winning formula.
That's true. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks for sharing your views.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Arlene.